This is the first video in what I plan to be a series of videos talking about the healing, transformative, and joyful effects of mindfulness, chakra, shamanic journey, and out-of-body meditation systems from my experience. I will also explain the limitations of each. I will share my journey, opinions, and resources because I hope to start a conversation with you and to encourage you to start and expand your meditation practice. I started and continue meditation because it's medicine for the mind. At different periods of my life, I have experienced mental loops, wildly unproductive thoughts, and harmful obsessions. I have seen the power of expecting negativity and how it can alter relationships, experiences, and the fabric of one's personal reality. Though, I didn't dive headlong into meditation until after I experienced an acute case of burnout. During that time, my mind was totally out of my control. A downward spiral began to form where my negative perceptions of events, others, and myself led to negative reactions towards myself, others, and events. I created balance by attempting to bring everything outside of me down to my level. I abused substances, intentionally created chaos, and lashed out towards those that loved me, all of which continued a cycle of deepening despair. Thoughts that I don't want to entertain still arise. But like taking a breath in, I know I cannot and do not desire to hold it in. This video and any others that might follow are meant simply to point you in whatever direction might suit you best. By no means are my experiences exhaustive on these topics. I have also come to believe that while cooking, showering, or rubbing sticks together, one can induce mind-expanding experiences intentionally or unintentionally. Consciousness is limitless. When I decided I wanted to be serious about meditation, I got a mindfulness coach that I met with one-on-one each week for about an hour. Looking back, the biggest benefit of having a coach was quickly getting answers to my questions. However, I don't think a coach is necessary. There are so many resources out there for anyone that wants to learn, practice, or have questions answered. For me, the superpower of mindfulness meditation was learning to let any thought or emotion that came up slip away without focusing on it. If you can learn to focus on nothing, then focus flow states for what's important becomes much easier. I think this is why so many employers and educational institutions today promote mindfulness meditation. Businesses and schools want focused employees and students. But mindfulness can be so much more than task focus. For me, the most beneficial application is letting annoyances go. When an emotion comes that does not serve me, switching focus to the breath and letting that emotion pass is incredibly useful. What makes mindfulness so wonderful is its ease of access. The primary technique of connecting with the breath can be done with as little as a single breath. And because I focused on learning mindfulness with my eyes open, I can literally meditate anywhere, anytime. There are 3 reasons I started to look for a meditation system beyond mindfulness. The first one was a desire to meditate as I walked to work. My mindfulness coach did not have an effective solution for full-paced walking meditation. The second reason was that when I was not meditating, I started to see color halos around objects. I knew the halos were a product of meditating because I practiced open-eye meditation, and among other visual anomalies, I would see colors around whatever it was that I was staring at while meditating. This was not negatively impacting my life, but I wasn't getting answers to the effects I was experiencing. The third and final straw came during a 5-minute meditation. While meditating, I found myself in front of 2 giant golden doors with script written on them that I couldn't recognize nor read. A message came to me that said I would need a different key to pass these doors. I had never experienced anything like this while meditating. After speaking with my coach, we agreed that I needed something else, though at the time, neither of us knew where I should go. I decided not to focus on the auras I was seeing or the big golden doors, and just be practical by focusing on finding a coach that could help me with walking meditation. I'm very fortunate because I know so many cool people, so it wasn't long before I was introduced to a transpersonal psychologist that assured me he could teach me a 13 chakra system that included grounding, channeling, and shielding, which would enable me to walk and meditate. The morning after our first 2-hour evening session, I meditated on my entire 30-minute walk to work. I can vividly remember this morning because the meditation wasn't like anything else I'd ever experienced. With each breath, a pulse of intense, tingling energy would rush up my body, and with each breath out, the tingling would rush down from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. Unlike mindfulness, which often mellowed me out, the 13 chakra system led to extremely energetic states. Often it felt like I drank 1,000 espresso shots on the way to work. I can't remember the number of times I cried on the way to work out of pure joy. I continued to work with a psychologist over several sessions spanning a couple of months to get the basics. Like mindfulness, I still use this system today. The practice continues to evolve too. I use chakras whenever I desire to meditate while in motion, when I need a pick-me-up, or to connect with some emotional aspect tied to a specific chakra. The main limitation I found with this system is that it's not easily shared. Firstly, the induction process with the psychologist was intense, and full development took considerable time. For instance, I would write about and draw the chakras even when I wasn't meditating. Secondly, it's deeply personal. Each chakra's look, feel, and meaning is different and developed by working with each. It's not like I can't or wouldn't tell you. It's just, if I did, it wouldn't mean to you what it does to me. So unfortunately, in my opinion, the chakra meditation system is much less accessible. Last year, I was going through a personal crisis of sorts. I had stopped walking to work each morning because I had been let go from my job. Additionally, lockdowns in Shanghai, where I was living at the time, made my waking life almost completely stationary. This mix of factors started to overcome me with fear, worry, and self-doubt. Fortunately, a dear friend and spiritual activator volunteered to help me. During a Zoom consultation, he asked me, "Have you ever heard of journeying to meet your spirit animal?" Imagine a dog hearing a strange noise. That was what I looked like as my head tilted in confusion, and I said, I don't think so. He went on to tell me about a chapter in a book that could guide me to conducting a shamanic journey to meet my spirit animal. To be honest, I was a bit desperate and super bored at the time. Also, I deeply trust this friend. On top of that, I'm accustomed to doing weird and humiliating things. So I read the chapter and followed the instructions, and what transpired on my first drum-driven 15-minute journey was utterly fantastical. It was as if I walked straight through my mind's wardrobe and into Narnia. At the time, all I knew was that my consciousness seemed to have transported to a totally unfamiliar realm where I was able to interact with animals and entities that seemed to have completely independent cognitive capabilities from my own. The timing for the experience was perfect. Due to the lockdowns and not having a job, I was able to pour myself into researching and practicing. To simply sum it up, the shamanic journey system is a neo-shamanic tool developed in core shamanism. Journeys are activated by listening to 220 drum beats per minute with an individual intention to visit lower, middle, or upper realms. There are specific mental techniques used to activate timeless and cross-cultural consciousness experiences, allowing practitioners to traverse these realms while interacting with various seemingly independent sentient entities. Here are my main issues with journeying meditation. Firstly, and by far the most disappointing, unlike mindfulness, there is very little mainstream awareness of shamanic journey meditation. This makes it really difficult to share with others and makes it difficult for others to be receptive. Secondly, because the meditation is auditory driven, you need audio, which means it's not accessible all the time. Also, some journeys can be extremely intense, even profound, so post-journey integration is a must and can take considerable time. I also think it's easy to get lost in trying to determine if these journeys are real. Like, am I really visiting a place independent of myself? I'm increasingly finding this to be an unimportant question, as it's definitely a genuine experience And for now, that's enough for me, especially because the takeaways are tangibly helpful as my consciousness transmutes these journeys into my physical reality through thought, communication, and action. While practicing shamanic journey meditations, I began to have experiences that I could not find explanations for in educational materials or among practitioners. Note, if you are looking for an easily accessible, active, and helpful community of core shamanism practitioners, look no further than Reddit. While journeying, I started to have physical experiences like full body vibrations and pulsing in my forehead. In the journeys themselves, I began visiting real people and real places. Finally, I experienced traveling clairvoyance where I projected to a place I had never been, and then that same week, I visited that place in real life. My research led me to out-of-body experiences, also known as OBEs, or sometimes called vertical perception, astral projection, or medically known as a dissociative event. Fortunately, like core shamanism, there are modern OBE practitioners that have paved the path to learning and understanding the practice. And this is where I find myself right now, daily researching and practicing OBE meditation. I personally find OBE to be the most challenging but most rewarding of all meditation systems I've practiced thus far. OBE meditation has similar limitations to journeying. Firstly, it's not something I can do while walking or simply by connecting with my breath in the present moment. Additionally, controlling the experiences is taking even more time than chakra meditation development. Lastly, it's even more difficult to talk about with those that don't practice, as it's on the far side of woo-woo for most. I hope you have enjoyed my personal experiences with meditation and feel motivated to learn more. Please feel free to ask me any questions in the comments. I'm happy to share any resources, books, audio tracks, training materials, or contacts for coaches that you might need. Also, feel free to make suggestions on what you'd like to hear about in the future. Until next time, safe travels.